Yasmin, let's start with a story that you pulled out in the Mail. Jeremy Hunt's plan to try and get the long-term sick back to work.
Yes, and I mean, this has been an ongoing challenge, I think, in this country for very many years. But since the pandemic, apparently, there are 630,000 long-term sick people who are out of work, who haven't either tried or been able to work. And for Jeremy Hunt, it's apparently a big issue and a big priority, but it's not the first time. So, we've got stuff in here which says the people would be nudged into trying harder to show. Now, this is the bit that really worries me, to show that they're looking for work. Otherwise, they lose their benefits. Now, this isn't new. This has been going on. It's been Tory policy forever. And I remember the pain of watching the Ken Loach film, I, Daniel Blake. And I know two people, at least two people. One who suffered a total breakdown as a result of going week after week to show that he'd been looking for work. And the other one died. Actually, he was that ill, but he still had to go through this ritual. I think it's important. I think work is really important. It gives a shape to the day, your life. It releases you from dependency. I'm not for, saying everybody should just stay at home. But you can't pressurize ill people, long-term ill people. And we've got millions now with long COVID. So I find this policy really problematic.
Yeah, not complicated, not easy to sort out either, I should say. Nancy, let's move on to this story that you pulled out in The Guardian. Of course, while the story to do with Gary Lineker erupted for the BBC last night, their decision asking him to step back from presenting Match of the Day, and then a mutiny of fellow presenters and commentators following after that. There's also a lot of controversy surrounding this episode of David Attenborough's new wildlife series, that the BBC's looking at not airing one of the episodes there either. Tell us more about this.
That's right. So the story from The Guardian has been rumbling on for a few days now as well. Basically, it's a whole series about wildlife in Britain, and there is one particular episode that sort of talks about how many species have been lost, the declining numbers of wildlife, and looks particularly at sort of farming practices, good and bad. And the allegation is that the BBC has dropped this and won't include it in the series. It will be available on iPlayer, but it won't be broadcast with the rest of the series for fear that it's too left-wing and that it's too pro-wildlife, I guess is the only way to sum it up. I mean, it seems a really ridiculous situation, almost as ridiculous as Gary Lineker. I don't know how the BBC makes these decisions. Now, the BBC, to be fair and to give both sides, BBC say they never intended to broadcast it, but this is David Attenborough's voice on it. It fits in very much with the series, so how they can say it's completely separate to it and why they would make the decision to say it was only ever intended for iPlayer and not for live broadcast, it's just bemusing. It just seems that they very much are under the thumb of a Tory government who doesn't want them to say lots of things, and woe betide we say there's a problem with the planet.
Yasmin, a quick thought from you on this. Of course, the BBC would robustly defend that and maintain that they are absolutely impartial, but there is criticism that they are bowing to pressure from the government when it comes to these things.
Yeah, and this is not political. This is about all of us, okay? But there's so many climate deniers, particularly on the right of the party, but also some on the left, who hate it, who hate being reminded of our responsibility to the planet and to future generations. They should never be listened to. They should not be allowed any influence over decisions. And I have no doubt that the BBC did this because, again, it's terrified of negative responses. It doesn't seem to be that terrified of negative responses from the left. And I think Nancy's said it beautifully. you know, why would you stop David Attenborough, for God's sake?
And a brief thought from you, Nancy, on this article inside The Guardian about eating disorder patients being discharged before they're better.
Yeah, this is just another terrifying element of our NHS crumbling away in front of our eyes. So the story is that in some parts of the country, and it is a postcode lottery, if you're basically too ill with an eating disorder, i.e. goes on too long and it's not managed to be solved or ended, then that's it, you're your own problem, and you won't get treatment.
I'm so sorry, we're going to have to leave it there. More with you both the next hour. Thanks so much, and we'll see you for the rest of the day's news at the top of the hour.